Alright, gonna record this as well. What I am doing today, let me get some sound going there, is I am gonna try out the duty support, I guess it's the trust system, where you can basically use the NPCs to run your dungeons. And I have done this a couple times with the tank, whatever, gladiator, is that what I'm doing? I really don't know. Still new, yeah, the gladiator. I've done that the first two dungeons of the main story quest as tank, which was a nice experience. I have played other MMOs and wanted to tank. Never did, just because, well, people are not very friendly, especially if you don't know the dungeons and, you know, all that stuff. Final Fantasy, I think, does have a better community for that kind of stuff, but we'll see. Now, I'm curious, doing this, like, as the tank, it was nice, worked well. We're going to see how the healer is. I feel like I only have 2 buttons to push, other than doing damage, which damage part is fine, but we'll see here. We're going to skip this. I've seen it. So I have tried to play Final Fantasy XIV multiple times and just never really stuck to it. The first time I think was before Shadow Walkers, or it might have been like early into Heaven's Ward. I can't really remember. And then, make sure I don't think I have any buffs to worry about with this guy. But yeah, so it just never stuck. One of the things is like the global cooldowns being the 2.5 second felt really slow. I've typically always played classes in other games, like, so Rift when it launched, I played that. That was the first MMO I actually got into. And other than that, I've played Warcraft, but not like seriously. Like Rift, I actually got into like raiding pretty heavily and all that kind of stuff until they totally changed that game and made it horrible. So now I'm kind of curious here with how this will work with the tank, because tank, you just run in and, you know, I was grabbing everything. I didn't really even know my way around the dungeon. I had only ever done it as a DPS, and you just followed the tank, and that was before you could do it with the NPCs. So we'll see how this goes. Okay. It sure doesn't feel like he's taking much damage. Wasted a cooldown on a dot refresh is no good. So I'm very used to hitting the 1 button for abilities, and so I just keep refreshing this thing over and over and just blowing cooldowns for no reason. Alright. Uh-oh. I feel like there's about 0 chance of dying here. So we are doing this as a live stream, just because I'm messing around with that and seeing, kind of new to using YouTube stuff too. Like we do a podcast, but we're doing a lot of side content on YouTube. It's just like something else to do and see how that goes. So I do not have the streamer mind of constant engagement. So if you're watching like a replay of this, or you happen to show up and I'm not paying attention to chat somehow, if you find us that way, it's not that I'm ignoring things intentionally. It's just, you know, that's how it works. All right, let's see. So I am very turned around as well. since I have never, other than the one time I did it as the tank, just like progressing the main story quest. My gladiator's level 29, so I'm probably out leveling stuff kind of because I got like the XP boost or whatever for Road to 80. Here we go. And well, I went back and was like, well, I'm going to do a tank or a healer, so it seemed like Conjurer is the way to go there. I think I want my party frames closer. Now, I have tried to avoid any spoiler stuff or looking up stuff too much about like using the NPCs and all that stuff to try to give like a honest opinion where I'm not biased by, you know, there's some super like if you're into like min-maxing, like there's probably obviously like this is not as efficient as using actual players, but I'm more interested like being able to run the dungeon as a tank, find your way around, take your time to figure stuff out, notice what NPC or what mobs are doing, you know, like things that you need to avoid, that kind of stuff on your own time and not wasting other people's time and all that. Seems really appealing. Sounds like they're going to eventually extend it to at least all the main story quest dungeons. So that actually excites me just a little bit from trying to get into this game. Been playing Warcraft since WoD, I guess you could call it that. So I basically play like the first patch of an expansion, and then by the .1 part of the expansion, I peace out because I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Like, it's never been what I want. One of the things that I'm drawn to by Final Fantasy is, you know, it's got the you can do everything with one character basically, and that was something that I enjoyed about Rift, is that you could do, I always played mage in that, but it could be a healer, you could do your damage, you could do support, because they had like the I think it was Archon was their support mage. I didn't play that one very much, but so I don't know if we can just run. There's some kind of switches or something we got to do. I don't know if we can just run there. I do like, I don't know if this is because I'm in this, where it shows you the enemies that are chained to each other. I had really liked Chloromancer with Rift, because you put your little veil and your buff on your tank, and then basically you did damage. When it launched, it was absolutely broken. It was just way overpowered. I have no idea what to think of any of the classes in this. Like, the furthest I've ever made it is I had a archer that I got up to Bard with this. But this is like a new free-to-play account. So, but Archer was a lot of fun. Alright. So I really feel like at this point that I'm just here to DPS and once in a while hit the cure button as the healer. Although I have the feeling that if I was doing this with like an actual party of real people, I would be about the same thing. I am really not good at clicking on some of this stuff. Alright, where are we go? We're trying to get over there. So let's go. Well, we're not going that way. Marauder having the charge is pretty sweet. I definitely move the party frame over a bit. Dot these guys up. Heal. It seems like the DPS is pretty... Well, I mean it's nothing for the tank to get aggro or threat or whatever in this. Like, I noticed that when I was doing it, that it didn't seem like it was possible for the DPS to pull off you at like low level like this. I don't know. I'm assuming that they could, but like I haven't really researched that either. So. Wasted cooldown there, I would say. Alright. So I'm guessing, yeah, they're not going to hit the switches for me. To our switch. Let's take some damage on this one. Can you cast target of target? Oh, and he gets out of the telegraphed attack. Seems like if at a minimum, if you were to do this as DPS going through the main story quest, it would probably cut queue times down for you at a bare minimum. So I have no idea if it's for the better or worse, but I just use the recommended gear setting so far, or if that's what it's called. Yeah, recommended gear. I'm sure somewhere along the way it becomes, maybe that's not the most effective way, but seems like while leveling that's fine. Alright, we are going to move our party frame over a little bit. Try that out. There we go. And here we go. I will say, this is about the most boring thing this could possibly be as far as healing here. I mean, I'm literally hitting one heal button. I can't even see a world where I'm going to use like my AoE heal in this thing. Captain Madison. What do we got here? Swiftcast. We'll make this guy up here. So I use a. It's actually the Molten Core Razor Naga from a billion years ago. It feels like. That's what I use. So I use just like a 12 button layout. I'm trying to avoid tunnel vision. That's an easy thing where you just stare at like party frames. I'm so used to like the whack-a-mole style healing that a lot of stuff has. I don't even know if it's like, I wonder if this guy can even die to some of this stuff in the time it would take us to kill him. Maybe that first boss fight. So I'm guessing this is slower from like just the DPS that is done, and then probably there's less drops, but I mean that would make sense because you're just one person. I think I read something that there's like enemies that drop stuff that they don't drop when you're doing it through the trust method, which is fine because I mean everyone would just keep running it until they got it. So. Checking out this video because you're a fan of Final Fantasy XIV, a little close. Our actual podcast that we put on YouTube as well, it is not like a video game podcast or anything. It's pretty much just us talking about random stuff, but we're just trying to do a little bit of everything for the YouTube. See if anything sticks. I wonder if they change the names as you get in higher level, as opposed to them being like an eager marauder, they become adept or something like that name-wise. Man, he is quick on that charge. So does he care? If I'm standing on him, does he reposition things? No. Seems like he ain't moving. I'll have to test that. There was something I was playing. The tanks. It might have been the Final Fantasy XIV like a long time ago, but it was ridiculous because I come from the world where the tank. If you run in, like, you face the mobs away from your party. Like, basically, if we ran into those guys, I would run past them and have them facing towards that door, and then the party would be down here. And every single tank that I played with, whatever game it ended up being, I think it was 14, they would just let it face the party, and then it was on the party to move, and it was just absolutely bizarre to me. So let's see here. We came in. Again, I don't actually know my way around very good. So. Quarter or Wave Rider. Oh, we gotta go Wave Rider. But we gotta get the key. I think that's, yeah. Again, I didn't really research or do much because I'm trying to make this as close to authentic as I can. First couple dungeons, obviously. I've ran those a few times through my attempts to play this, so you know what, I'm not even here. Let's see. Yeah. Here we go. I can definitely not get by with not healing him at least once. Alright, guys. We gotta move off the key. I do think it's good that they are having, like, you as the main character, like, you actually have to pick up the stuff and do all the interacting. So you actually, if you were to, I don't know, like, I used to do where, again, I'm going, like, to Rift, for example. Like, if it was a dungeon I hadn't ran, I would watch a video or read, like, a strat guide or something before I would even go into it. Or create the party, because like when Rift launched, it didn't have a party finder of any kind, so you had to, like, you know, gather everybody up, and one person ran in, and then you could teleport. But it wasn't like the dungeon finder that WoW had at the time. Rift eventually got that, maybe in 1.3. I can't remember their patch cycle very well, but either way, like, I felt like, oh, I gotta make sure I know what I'm doing, kind of thing, before going into it. This, you could just run it with the NPCs. You'll have, you know, if there's any interacting with stuff or picking stuff up, you'll have to do it. That way you actually know what's going on. So if you get in there with somebody who has no clue, like if you were to be rerunning it. Now, I also don't know if Final Fantasy has, like, is there something that's like a heroic version of this dungeon? I have no idea how that kind of stuff works. Like, once you get to what would be Realm Reborn cap. So that'll be stuff I figure out as I go along, if I can actually stick to it this time. I'm trying to decide, because I'm fine with Conjurer as a healing class. It seems like White Mage is super straightforward, but there's a lot of different ones you can try out, and then I'm fine with Gladiator and whatever. Like, I have never really tanked, so being able to run tanks through like a instance like this, I think will be a lot of fun. Let's see here, go after Madison, get these guys. But yeah, so there's like a tanking and all that stuff. I've never done it, so I'll have to play around and see what I like, as far as the different flavors, so to say. I wish I had more buttons. I mean, I'm only, what, level 19, so... Can't do anything with the parrot. We have the other host of our show, Boxcar Tales is like the name of the show too. I think he was trying this out, but I think he is currently lost in Olda, like the starting city, because holy crap, does this game, it has some barriers to entry, for sure. Like, honestly, trying to find a way, I've heard it said as one of the first bosses of the game is trying to figure out how to sign up and give Square Enix money. I don't think that's wrong. But yeah, like the if you're used to like Warcraft or like, you know, like the Warcraft style of MMO, the main cities are just absolutely dreadful to get through. Let's see, look over here. We got some more dudes. The other nice thing is with this, I would say, is you can just kind of, you know what? Let's see something. Can I just try to make this dude's life miserable? Alright, focus. Is this the ideal way to do this? Is just be a horrible player? Come on, tank. God, this is tagging for... I'm assuming that's how you're supposed to do it, right? That's what I saw in WoW when I would run, like, the old instances. He's picking everybody up. It would be fantastic if the AI tank just rage quit. You can be as toxic as you want to the NPCs, and they will not do anything. That's great. So I wonder, is there some kind of like time trial that people do to see how fast they can get through these with the NPCs? Like racing or something, where it's like, oh, this is your standardized gear, how quick can you do it? Because that would actually be kind of a fun thing to try. Like I'm sure there's a class that would break it, but like, oh, best time as a healer or something like that. I know people have like the speedrunning splits and all that stuff, so you could probably get one of those things and just time it. I don't think that DPS has taken any damage this entire time. I really wasn't paying that close of attention though. Alright. Well, that was probably not the it's probably more efficient to actually just pull them versus trying to pull everything out. That was like some J.J. Abrams, Michael Bay style, where you don't actually get to see the face for more than a second and you can't tell what's going on. Alright. Let's see. I wish there was something. That's like, what, 3% experience, I think, for the food. Alright. Guess I'm gonna stand here and play with rocks for a little bit. Two and a half seconds is such a long cooldown. Like, I have the muscle memory for the 1.5 or 1 second. So I wonder, I'll have to do a run on one of the other dungeons with this as I go, because what I'll probably do is, if I keep this up, I might do this as like a little Final Fantasy XIV live journal thing, where I'll do the dungeons with like the NPC and record either like first time as a healer or a tank or something going through it, and just my experience on that. I'm sure there's like a ton of people doing that. Uh-oh. I was totally zoned out, and then when I was trying to heal that dude, I was pretty sure I was just casting on myself. Man, if you don't glamour up your gear, you look like a clown in this thing. What'd I get? Maim and Mend? No. Stone Mastery. Maim and Mend is next. Stone 2. Swift Cast. See if we got anything. Battle Axe. I can't use a Battle Axe, can I? That. Is that a Marauder? Yeah. I can try him out too at some point, I assume. Yeah. Let's go back. Alright. Well, that was interesting. I probably could have need like a counter for buttons, see how many times I actually hit the heal button, because I'm sure I could have optimized that and done way more damage, but trying to make sure to narrate what I'm doing. So let's go we're gonna do support. Still learning the. Let's try this. Do we get the same thing? Is it always the same DPS and tank? We'll go ahead and do this one too. Again, I did this as the tank. I've done it as DPS. I've never healed on it. Skip that. The very first time I ran this one, I thought it was like the craziest thing ever. I think it was just because I thought all the passages were ways you could actually go. So I thought it was like a super maze, and I was like, that's really early in the game to have that big of a maze. I'm going to try to be efficient. Until I find out there's some kind of one-shot mechanic that I don't know about in the second dungeon in the whole game, which would be ridiculous, especially for trash. My understanding is the... what's it called? Like the raid equivalents or whatever they're called. Not a lot of trash in those. The dungeons feel like they have a ton of trash. Pull up here while they're doing that. Tank, I got something for you. This guy too. I think this is the thing that actually does something as far as damage. Or getting hit a couple times, but I don't really know. This 30 seconds, so you probably have to get 20 seconds of it before it's not as good as just hard casting stone, probably. This stuff, do we even need in here? I don't think we do. I'm just trying to get through the dungeon. I don't think we have to clear everything. Feels like maybe I have lag and I'm not aware. Feels like when I do the arrow, it takes a little bit before the dot shows up on the bar down here. I don't know any of like the spell animation, so I can't tell if, I'm assuming the tank uses like whatever mitigation cooldowns that it would have. Like I don't know if it just like slams them all at once or if they cycle through or how the AI for that works. there's got to be an expectation, I assume, that healers do, like, you don't only heal, you have to do DPS. It would be awful otherwise. I don't know if it gets to where there's like fights like in the, I would assume like level cap or in-game content. Maybe the DPS isn't as important for the healer, but I don't know. I don't know how they work all that, but we'll learn as we go. Nothing. I'm assuming there's a way to have, I mean, there's got to be some, I know they don't do official add-on stuff like that, but I know Rift had, I think it was like ACT, like Advanced Combat Tracker or something, where somewhere there's like a lot, like, I'm assuming this writes your, let's see, battle, yeah, like how much damage you're doing, and then it could parse that in real time or something like that. So I would assume someone has figured out a way to do that. If not, I would be shocked. I don't think I've, even when I got the spell, I don't even think I hit the ability to see what it looked like. Let's see, more orbs. I feel like we go this way. So I'm curious, and it's probably something I would have to look up, is like, I notice like all the mobs get like a letter to them. If that corresponds to everybody, like if I have like a large thing of this and I'm on voice chat with like people, could I be like, hey, target the Z, basically, and they would, you know, is that the same for everybody? Because that would make life way easier. Oh, we got another orb. Let's see. So this is the first time... Whoa, he is on it. First time I've done anything as like a live stream type thing. Again, like if somebody just stumbles in here, I wouldn't expect that anyone will, but you know, but we should still record it as a video or something. Like, it is a lot of work to try to play a game and talk, so the people who are doing that are good at it have even a little more appreciation for their ability to do that. Kind of wish it gave them names rather than just eager, whatever the job is. Yeah, it's like a half a cooldown for that to show up. Creepy daddy longlegs. When I was a little kid, we had a treehouse kind of thing in the backyard, and instead of being like in a tree, it was just like, you know, like you'll see like, it almost looks like a shed that you'd buy at like Home Depot or something. Except it was like 4 feet off the ground, like on stilts, kind of. And so it had like a little patio to it. And man, such low. It cracks me up that like your health is like 377. It's so low. I'm so used to like thousands from other games. But anyway, so had like a little patio like on the front of the treehouse, and there was one time I went into it and a daddy long legs fell onto my head, and I screamed and it freaked me out, and I walked backwards and fell off of that. I was very small at the time, and for some reason we stored all the cinder blocks in the backyard underneath that, so I fell onto cinder blocks as a little kid. But when you're, you know, 8 or 9, you are basically invincible. So I, other than like scared and some scratches, like it didn't actually like break anything somehow. So I do not care for daddy long legs. Like if there was a VR game that had spiders, I would probably look for the make the spiders anything else setting, because I know some games have. I almost want to make, because I need a DPS, like, in my mind I should have tank, heal, and DPS roll at this point, especially now that I can tank dungeons like this to get used to tanking with different things. I don't know what I want to do for DPS though. I mean, eventually I'll probably be one of the people who tries to like max out all the jobs. I don't even know some of the expansion stuff, what they have. But as far as the stuff goes, I know like some of the stuff, like it looks cool, but I haven't really researched it. I'm such a bad player. Complaining because I refreshed my dot again. Like I keep... Muscle memory is terrible. I also don't feel bad that I'm wasting other players' time if I do something dumb. Or the things that I would do that are dumb. It's like, oh, I can't do that because I don't want to waste people's time. I can actually mess with. So I've seen... Do you ever get anything good out of like the normal treasure coffers? Do it just pop up? Because that's not like tied to a boss, I don't think. Or is that one of those things that's super random? So far, like overall, like I genuinely think Final Fantasy is a better game than Warcraft. I'm just so used to, like, it does have like a unique style to it, and also the no loading zones is nice. Main cities in Warcraft really aren't all that good either. Like Orgrimmar's terrible. It's just mud and spikes. Like, I don't think it's laid out very well. Stormwind's fine. The cities in this, like, maybe it gets better, or maybe there's different hubs that I've not visited or something, but so far the cities are just awful with, like, different layers and levels and all that. But yeah, being able to do everything on the one character is fantastic. I haven't touched crafting, like, even the times I've tried to play this, I haven't touched crafting at all. So I need to work on that. I'm assuming crafting is the same, that you can do all the crafting on one character. I don't think it's limited. We'll find out at some point, I'm sure. Makes me uncomfortable being the one to run in and tag stuff before the tank. Doesn't feel correct. Seems to have a pretty big area for the effect. Speaking of the Medica AoE heal, that's what I was referencing there. I mean, it's not hard to figure out what I'm talking about. I have like 4 buttons that I can potentially push. I'm assuming sleep is just your standard crowd control. If there's a ad or something you have to keep separated, or a patrol or something. Well, I guess we gotta hit the thing. The orb or whatever. Rosary. Yeah, I was convinced that this entire dungeon was just like this huge maze that you had to know the exact way, but it feels like it's pretty on rails for the most part. I will say, if you're watching this as like a replay of the video or something like that, and you have like any kind of concerns about like, oh, I'd really like to get into healing or tanking or you know, like even DPS. Like, I know some people have like the anxiety of running with people. This definitely seems like a viable way to do it and learn. Like, I mean, that's what I'm gonna do with tanking for sure. Is I'll probably run these things as the tank with the NPCs, get used to it, and then go from there. Or at least be familiar with my class enough and like dealing with the mechanics. Because there's a lot of stuff you'll see as DPS when you do dungeons, but what you do as a tank is very different. So it seems like it'd be a good way to help with like that. If you have like that anxiety group of people. Or if you're like, I just don't want to wait on the queue because I'm DPS and it's going to take 20 minutes. I actually don't know how the queue times are. I'm also curious because I assume, so I have like the buff for like Road to 80, so I'm thinking that's like, either that's preferred servers or they were running a special or something, I don't know. But so I've just been leveling, like the Gladiator I got to 29 just doing main story quest, and I feel like I was slightly ahead on levels in a lot of cases. With the Conjurer so far, I've just done the job quests, and then there's been a couple times where I stopped and like grinded mobs and tried to use the chain system. I don't know what the actual name of it is. So you try to get that extra XP, and what that is, if my understanding of it at a rudimentary level is if you're killing, I assume it's stuff that's at level or above level, once you kill more than one of those in a row, you start racking up bonus XP. And each time you do, like, I think it's a minute or 70 seconds, something like that. And it seems like every time you kill something, you get 20 seconds added maybe. So you can, it runs out eventually, but I know, I think I was trying to get to 15 with the Conjurer. So I could, when I turned in, so that I could pick up the next job quest at the same time. And what I noticed with it is I'd start out at like 300 experience for the mob, and then I was killing some kind of boar. I think by the time on the last one I would kill, I'd get like almost 500 XP for it. So like it was a significant boost. It was kind of nice, and it became like a game. So, no matter of okay, he's on it. Let's see. I know this fight. I was very surprised when I did it as the tank at the amount of ads that popped up at one point. So, but it felt like the DPS and everybody was very quick to switch targets. Yep. Yeah, I mean they're like right on it. So I wonder if there's mechanics that like the game just like the NPCs take care of that you don't have to deal with. Like that would seem detrimental in a way, depending on like, because if I'm the DPS and then I'm trying to learn the dungeon, but they're just quickly doing it. But like this, I mean, you would have to see like, oh, hey, everybody switch targets. Tank. That was the first time I've seen ads or mobs get past the tank. I'm assuming healing can generate some kind of threat in this. That was a waste. Is there a way, I wonder, to get like different kinds of a display over here, like WoW had it, where it's like just like it's just a big bar, you know, like the big green bar that shows the health or whatever. If there's a way to do that in this. Where I can just basically turn it into the whack-a-mole. Like, oh, that green bar is not full. I need to fill it up. I'll have to... Again, I've looked up almost nothing with this thing, so... And by this thing, I mean the Final Fantasy game. Apparently I have all the plundered gear in the game. Such tiny characters, these guys. Lalafell, is that right? Alright. Excuse me. Alright, well we're going to end it with that. Yeah, so basically I was just trying out the NPCs, like running as a healer. I actually used that button twice, I think, but I really didn't need to. But yeah, if you check this out because you're just like, oh man, hey, this guy is saying it's the first time using it kind of thing, works out pretty good. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll keep doing that, and as I go along, I'll probably record some stuff. I'm not planning to like always stream stuff. I know Solomon, he'll occasionally stream something here and there on his play. I don't know. I think he does it from like a console or something, so I don't think he does the camera or any of that stuff with it. But I'll definitely be putting up videos here, so yeah. Take it easy.